I love him the way you love a comfortable pair of shoes. Reliable. Always there. Easy to forget once you found something that actually fits the life you want. My wife said those words to her best friend in the middle of baggage claim at Charlotte Douglas International Airport on a Friday night in November. She said them without lowering her voice, without looking around, without the slightest hesitation. The kind of words you only speak when you are certain the only people who matter are standing right in front of you. I was 12 feet away, holding a bouquet of red roses I had bought that morning and a small handwritten card that said "Welcome home. I missed you." I am not a dramatic man. I do not chase arguments. I am the man who shows up early, stays until the work is finished, and never needs applause for doing what he said he would do. That night I came to surprise my wife after a 4-day business trip. What I walked away with instead was the truth about 9 years of marriage. If stories like this mean something to you, real people, real decisions, and what happens when a quiet man finally stops accepting less than he deserves, hit the subscribe button right now. This is Elias Ward's story, and we are only at the beginning. My father used to say that a man's character is not proven at the dinner table when everyone is watching. It is proven at 2 in the morning when the only witness is the work in front of him. He told me that in the garage while bent over the engine of a 1968 Chevrolet Chevelle. I was 13, holding a flashlight. I didn't understand the full weight of those words then. I understand them now. My name is Elias Ward. I am 42 years old. I work as a senior logistics coordinator for a freight company near Charlotte. My job is simple in description and demanding in practice: make sure things arrive where they are supposed to be, when they are supposed to be there. I have done this work for 13 years because I show up on time, I do not cut corners, and when something goes wrong I stay until it is right. When my father died, he left me 3 things: the house in Matthews, a carefully structured family trust, and the Chevelle. It sat under a canvas cover for almost 2 years before I finally pulled the cover off and decided to bring it back. Not because I needed another car. Because some things are worth finishing even when no one is asking you to. I have been working on that car for 3.5 years. It is still not finished. I met Talia at a community development fundraiser when I was 33. She talked about underdeveloped neighborhoods in Charlotte and building something that could actually change outcomes. I listened for nearly 2 hours and thought she was the most purposeful person I had ever stood in the same room with. 6 months later we were engaged. 9 months after that we were married. The early years were good. I need to say that clearly. Talia was driven in a way I genuinely respected. When she told me she wanted to launch a consulting firm focused on community investment, I did not hesitate. I told her I would hold things steady while she built it. That is what I believed a marriage was supposed to be. She named the company Bellamy Collective after her mother's family. Talia's mother, Loretta Bellamy, had spent decades building a reputation in this city that meant something: church committees, neighborhood associations, fundraising that actually produced results. Talia understood the weight of that name and put it on her company because she believed it could carry the business forward. Belle was Talia's closest friend and a cousin from Loretta's side. She came around the house often enough that I stopped thinking of her as a guest. She was direct in a way I appreciated. What I did not know then was that she had already said something uncomfortable to Talia months earlier, and Talia had told her to drop it. In the months before that Friday, I felt the distance growing. Talia came home later. She traveled more. When I asked about Bellamy Collective, her answers stayed on the surface. I told myself it was the weight of building something from nothing. Some nights I would sit in the Chevelle with the overhead light on and feel, without quite knowing why, like I was missing something I should have already seen. The morning I bought those red roses, I still did not know what it was. Talia had texted me around noon, "Don't worry about picking me up. I'll get a rideshare home." I read the message twice and went back to work. By 3 o'clock I was in my car headed toward the airport anyway. Not because I did not trust her. Because I missed her. I found parking, walked in through the main entrance, and made my way toward baggage claim. I spotted Talia before she saw me. She was standing close to Belle, heads angled toward each other. Something in their posture made me slow down. I stepped behind one of the wide advertising columns. Talia was speaking first. "I love Elias," she said. "But it's the way you love a comfortable pair of shoes. He's reliable. He's consistent. He's the reason the early contracts got approved and the house gave me an address that looked permanent. But I'm not building a life with him. I'm building an exit. Belle asked something low and cautious. Talia answered without hesitation. She said the stability had made practical sense. That my credit history and clean financial standing had made it easier to incorporate Bellamy Collective and secure the early vendor relationships. The house in Matthews gave her an address that projected permanence. She said she had never planned for the marriage to last this long, but that 12 months of documented revenue would give her enough standing to walk away cleanly. Bellamy Collective was close to that mark. Then she said another name. She said it once, Grant Sutter, with a particular quality in her voice that sounded like relief. She said he made her feel like herself. That she had met him twice in Charlotte already. She said Elias had no idea. When she mentioned the family trust, her tone shifted. She said she had been looking into it. That there might be grounds to include it in the marital estate depending on how certain contributions had been structured. She was not certain it would hold, but she was looking into it. Belle did not argue. She asked a few practical questions in the flat voice of someone who has already said what she truly thinks and been told not to say it again. There was a careful stillness in the way she held herself that did not look like agreement. I had my phone out by then. I opened the recording application, held it at my side, and kept my breathing even. I recorded everything. When the carousel brought Talia's bag around, the conversation shifted into logistics, their rideshare, dinner, a call she needed to make. Normal things. I looked down at the roses in my other hand. 12 stems, deep red, still fresh. I set them down at the base of the advertising column. Not thrown. Not dropped. Just placed there carefully, the way you set down something you have decided you are no longer going to carry. Then I walked back out the way I had come in and drove home alone. I did not play the recording on the drive. Every word was already sitting in my chest. I got home before her. The house was dark. I sat in the driveway for a moment, then went inside, turned on the kitchen light, and walked straight through to the garage. I turned on the single work lamp above the tool chest. It threw a yellow pool of light across the Chevelle's hood. I sat on the shop stool and set my hands on my knees. The garage smelled like metal and old grease and something I had always associated with my father. It was not anger. Anger I could have worked with. What kept coming back was a quieter word that had not been spoken in that baggage claim but that I could hear clearly underneath everything she had said. Arrangement. Not a life. An arrangement. A structure of benefits she had entered deliberately and planned to exit once the conditions were right. When I heard the rideshare pull up, I stood, walked back into the kitchen, and set a glass of water on the counter. By the time Talia came through the door, I looked like a man who had not left the house. "Hey," she said. "You didn't have to wait up." "Wasn't tired," I answered. She asked about my day. I gave her a short, accurate answer. I asked about Los Angeles. She gave me the version she had prepared. We ate leftovers standing at the counter. Then she said she was exhausted and went upstairs. I washed both plates, put them away, and went back out to the garage until past midnight. In the days that followed, I did not change my behavior in any way she would notice. I went to work. I came home. I asked about Bellamy Collective and listened. I made her coffee the way she liked it. From the outside, nothing had shifted. What changed was what I paid attention to. The transfers in our joint account were individually unremarkable: vendor payments, subscription renewals, office supplies. Laid across 3 months of statements, the pattern was clear. She was routing business expenses through our shared account. I wrote down dates and amounts in a notebook I kept at work. I found an attorney's invoice mixed in with her company paperwork on the kitchen desk. Not hidden. Just not expected to be noticed. I wrote the name down and put the folder back exactly as I found it. About 10 days later, Belle came by on a Thursday evening. Talia was upstairs on a call. Belle sat at the table and barely touched her food. When I asked if everything was all right, she said she was just tired. The words were ordinary, but something behind her eyes was not tiredness. It was the flatness of a person carrying something they have not found a way to set down. She left without quite meeting my eyes. That Sunday, Loretta came for dinner. After we ate, she and I sat on the back porch. She looked out at the yard and said quietly, "I gave my blessing for that company name because I believe it will be carried right. I believe that because of you. Because of the men I have watched you be in this house." I told her I understood what the name meant to her. She nodded once, and we sat in silence until Talia called us inside. I thought about that conversation for a long time. Loretta was a woman who meant every word she had ever attached her name to. When she found out what her daughter had been building that name on, the foundation would not hold. In the weeks that followed, I continued the same careful pattern. I kept the notebook updated. I made copies of the statements and the invoice. I met quietly with the attorney who had structured my father's trust and confirmed it was protected in ways Talia's attorney had not fully accounted for. I opened a new personal account and began redirecting my paycheck. I spoke with a divorce attorney of my own, not in anger, but the same way I would approach a logistics problem that needed a clean solution. I kept working on the Chevelle in the evenings. Some nights I would sit in the driver's seat after the work was done and think about the word arrangement and how long I had been living inside it without recognizing the shape of the walls. Talia never asked why I was spending more time in the garage. She never asked why the joint account balance was no longer growing. She was busy with Bellamy Collective. She was busy with the timeline she had described to Belle. She was busy building the exit she believed she controlled. She did not know that the men she had called a comfortable pair of shoes had already started walking away. And when the moment came, when the 12 months of revenue were nearly complete and the conversations with Grant had grown more frequent, I would not raise my voice. I would not create a scene. I would simply set down the life she had treated as temporary, the same way I had set down those red roses at the base of an advertising column. Carefully. Completely. And without warning. Because my father was right. A man's character is not proven when everyone is watching. It is proven in the quiet decisions he makes when no one will ever know, until the day they do. This is only the beginning of what happened next.